Well, today is August 30th, and it's Tuesday Wrestling. And you all know what that means. That means once again we get to review NWA Powerrr. Now, I did find out that NWA Powerrr for this particular episode is free on their YouTube channel. So if you don't have it on Fight TV, or if you don't, or you watch it on Watch Pro Wrestling, you can watch it now on YouTube. But also, we have AEW Dark with 13 matches. And of course, we cannot forget, we have NXT 2.0. As you know, we're getting closer and closer to Worlds Collide this coming weekend. I'm excited to see who will walk out as champions, who's going to win this one. But also, before we begin with Tuesday Wrestling, we also have two reviews from two Yoshi promotions. I'm sure many of you guys enjoy me reviewing the Yoshi Wrestling promotions. First one's going to be Oz Academy with Battle Big Bonus in Nagoya that took place on July 31st. I know I normally do things that is either from this month, but I could not pass up the opportunity to review this one. And of course, day 9 of the 5-star Grand Prix by Stardom. We're going to see what's going to take place, but also the interesting developments regarding of the IWGP Women's Championship title tournament that will be taking place as soon as possible. But also, we got some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Jared here. So, let's begin with Oz Academy. Now, it's been a while since I reviewed one of these events. I'm sure many of you who watch my channel love it when I actually review Oz Academy and many other Yoshi promotions that you guys enjoy. So I could not pass up the opportunity for this one. So this is one of their events, Battle Big Bonus in Nagoya, that took place on the 31st of July. Now, I normally don't do events possibly from last July, but this one I'll make an exception because I did not see this one. But doesn't mean I can't that I cannot review it, because there's a lot of good stuff that took place. Now, our first match is an intergender match. We have Yu taking on Yuko Miyamoto. Now, if you guys never seen him before, he wrestles in Bizarra, I think, Freedoms, mostly like wherever the death matches are. But this is not a death match right here, in case anybody asked. This was mostly a straight up traditional match. Now, I wasn't 100% hype, not because of that, because the thing is, I did not know exactly where this match was going to lead. Now, I was pulling up for you because, you know, she's strong and big, but no, somehow Miyamoto was able to pick up the victory, doing a somewhat version of a Razor's Edge type maneuver. Now, it's not the same, but it's something similar, but it did allow him to win his match. Next up, this is a number 1 contendership for the Oz Academy tag team titles. We have, of course, team number 1, Itsuki Aoki and Tsubasa Kuragaki taking on Ryu Mizunami and Sonoka Kato. Now, I know that what's her name, Aoki and Kuragaki actually had challenged these belts before time and time again, but this was interesting. Now they're teaming up against someone we all know, Ryu Mizunami, who we've seen her many times. But I thought this match was very interesting because, of course, it depends on who will be the rightful person to team that challenge the current tag champions, which is Rina Yamashita and Hiroyo Matsumoto, aka the Lady Destroyer. But I was very impressed with this match. But it was, of course, Sonoka Kato who picked up the win, giving her and Mizunami the opportunity and steer clear to challenge for those tag titles. Next up is the Oz Academy Pioneer title in a three-way. We have Momoka Hanazono, who I talked about before, versus Akino versus Masdu Hanahana. Now, as you know, I mentioned many times, but here's the funny part. Masdu Hanahana and Oka Hanazono, they seem like they got along great, but Akino is like, come on guys, this is a three-way match. There is no friends here. So that kind of sets it up, but I knew from the very beginning that Momoka was going to not stab her, but put her surprise because she put bubbles in her eyes. As you guys know, she has like this sort of a little bubble machine that she carries all the time. You know, we've seen her many times over. That kind of blinded her. But however, Akino picked up a double pinfall on both of them in order to become the brand new Oz Academy Pioneer champion. So Masdo Hanahana actually lost this match. Basically, she is no longer the champion. Akino is. Now our next match is the best 2 out of 3 falls. We have team number 1, Ozaki-gun, consistent of Sayuri Onoi, Maya Yuhiki, and Mayumi Ozaki, taking on Beast Friends, Coyote Yonayama, Haja Kong, and Hiroyo Matsumoto. Now, this is one of those matches you know is going to be intensified, but of course, Ozaki-gun, the villains that they are, they bring in a lot of their weapons, like the whips, whatever they do, and that's what they normally been bringing. First round goes to them, second round fall goes to, of course, Beast Friends. But out of the nowhere, somehow, some way, Ozaki was able to pick up the last fall with Yonayama, and it was the bit of surprising factor that took place. So basically, Ozaki-gun walked away as the victors. Basically, Beast fans were in shock and in disbelief that happened. But as you know, the fight will continue. But this is Oz Academy, Ozaki-gun. This is their show. So I think that's pretty much it with it. So I believe it's time for Stardom. Okay, Stardom's 5-star Grand Prix. We're in day 9 on this one. Now, as you know, we talked about the IWGP Women's Championship, the first ever title that will be defended not only in Stardom and New Japan, domestically in Japan, but also overseas. Now, the obvious question did remain, who will be participating in the tournament? Now, there were 2 brackets that were established, the international bracket and the Stardom bracket. Now, the international bracket has already been revealed. Now, from my understanding, there were 3 spots available for the international bracket. 2 of them have already been announced. The one is the Ava, who is a former World of Stardom champion. She'll be participating, but her opponent that she'll be facing in Royal Quest 2 that will be taking place early October will be none other than the alpha female, Jazzy Gilbert. She also was a former champion in Stardom, so that's going to be interesting. Now, it's still unclear who is the 3rd participant. They haven't announced it, but I'm sure we will get to that as soon as possible. Now, as for the Stardom bracket, we didn't know how this was going to be played out, but I have to say Stardom played a very smart move. What they did is they gathered all 6 leaders representing of their respective unit. Sudi from God's Eye, Miyu Iwatani from Stars, Tam Nakano of Cosmic Angels, Julia of DDM, Starlight Kid of Odatai, and of course Utami Hayashishida of Queen's Quest. Now, talk about deja vu. Sudi volunteered again. Now, if you guys remember last year, we had that whole thing where we picked sticks, and there was going to be that match that took place at last year's this past Wrestle Kingdom event early of 2022. Sudi was the first one to pick, and it came out blank. Well, it happened again. Yeah, basically, it just went again with the same stuff. And then, of course, there were two that picked out. It was, of course, Mayu Iwatani and Utami Hayashida. Now, the last three that picked out, Julia and Starlight Kid were okay. They were safe, but not Tam. I know Tam had her heart set to go to participate in this, but looks like it's not going to happen. So basically, we have Hayashida, Kid, Iwatani, and Julia. Now, many people are saying from their perspective that Iwatani could do it because A, she's well more recognizable international. Now, not to disrespect the DDM fans, I know for a fact she would definitely do it too, but we will see when we get there. Now, because of later on in the main event, we saw Julia and Kid get into it. They started a little brawl, but out of nowhere, Oda Tai shows up to beat the crap out of her, and then all of a sudden, Rina Yamashita shows up. Of course, Kid did not like that. She was like talking trash, but turns out there's going to be a hardcore match between Yamashita and Julia to take on, of course, Oda Tai members, Starlight Kid and Momo Watanabe. Now, as you know, Yamashita is well known and recognizable in hardcore and death matches. Julia, well, she did not have a good moment in the Showcase Volume 1. I wouldn't be surprised if this match will take place in Volume 2. So we'll see what happens. Now, our first match we have, of course, in the Red Star block, we have Mai Sakurai versus Unagi Sayaka. Now, this was an emotional thing for Unagi because A, Mai Sakurai was her junior when she first arrived until Mai Sakurai betrayed Cosmic Angels aside. But however, it was Mai Sakurai that was able to apply her move Mai Pan Roll, giving her 2 points. And I believe right now she has 3 wins and 3 losses with 6 points. As for Unagi, only has 4 with 2 wins and 4 losses. However, she was emotional that she won this match, but it's not enough for her because there's one person she wants to surpass is her former leader, the one person she truly betrayed, that is Tam Nakano. And that will be on the following day for that. But I don't know, I'll be able to see it, but we'll see when we get there. Now, our next match is in the Blue Stars. We have Hanan versus Azuki. Now, these two are from the same team, Stars, but Hana once again went on the rampage again to attack Azuki right away. But we all know Azuki, she's the veteran. She's basically senior to Hanan. We all know she was capable of winning this match. But until she applied the Brainbuster, it was over. 1, 2, 3, it's done. Now, as for the points in this one, I believe Azuki is undefeated on this particular day. She has total points of, let's see, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 points. So she is in the lead. So basically, she's right now been on a roll. I think it's pretty good. So, but anything could change from here on out. Keep that in mind. But as for Hana, she is also right now. She's currently winless. I believe she has 0. She has no wins whatsoever. Only 6 losses. Now our next match, we have a very interesting one. We have Koguma versus Tam Nakano. Now keep in mind, Koguma hasn't forgotten the way she lost the Goddess of Stardom Championships, the tag titles to Tam and Natsupoi. Now, you probably would have guessed that Koguma would have tried everything in her power to try to get to her head. Maybe so. Not only that, but she almost tried to apply the Koguma roll on her, but it did not work until finally she apparently Tam decided not to go do the, of course, the Tiger Suplex, because that would have been one of Koguma's ways to counter it, since she's familiarized with this. So she applied the cartwheel roll up. 1, 2, 3. It was done. So I think it was a smart move that she tried something else that caught off Koguma off guard. So We'll see about. So we'll jump. We'll see what happens next. I believe her opponent for the next one is, of course, Mai Sakurai. Now, continuing on with the Red Star block, we have Saki versus Azumi. Now, this was also another good match. As you know, Azumi, one of the best high speedsters, but in this particular one, she was able to apply the Azumi Sushi, giving her the win. And I think she currently has. What did Azumi has? Oh, yeah. She only has 10 points. Yeah, 10 points with 5 wins and 1 loss. But as for Saki, only 2 wins and 3 losses. But however, it does not end there. But it was also foretold in this particular. As I mentioned, Azuki is currently in the lead in her block. Azumi is currently in the lead in her block. So basically, she is ahead. However, she planned ahead for an upcoming title match, which is for the high speed title. She reverse nominated Azuki and Fukigen Dev. So basically, these two will be facing off with in a 3-way. Now, if you guys know the history, Azuki and Azumi known each other pretty well. They were part of the same unit together. Azuki was one of the original founders of Queen's Quest, along with Io Shirai and Momo Watanabe. So it's going to be interesting those two face off each other once again. Now, our next match, we have, of course, the next 3 matches, we have the Blue Stars, Mina Shirakawa versus Mayu Iwatani. Now, this was a very interesting match because, if you guys remember, 2 years ago, Mina Shirakawa ended up being part of the group of stars last year during Tag League under the recommendation from Tam to Mayu. This was a very interesting development. But one thing that Mayu did mention in the post-match comments, that a lot has changed with Mina, that she is now a bit more better and she targeted her neck. And I think she was a bit surprised that she has a bit of the aggressive and killer instinct now. I mean, she has changed a lot, not to mention she had some impressive wins as a singles competition. Like, who could forget that match she had with Momo Watanabe at the start of the tournament? But that explains a whole lot. So, but unfortunately, the match ended with, of course, the Glamorous Collection Mina reverse. So basically, Mina was about to apply her finisher, but Mayu reversed it, giving her the win. I believe right now, Mayu has 6 wins and 1 loss. As for Mina, 2 wins and 2 losses, which is oof. I don't know how far I'm not sure if she's going to make it, but we'll see about that. Next up, we have Zuzu Suzuki taking on Natsupoi. Now, this is one of the most toughest matches, in my opinion, Natsupoi had to deal with. Now, keep in mind, Zuzu's a bit of the aggressive type of wrestler. If you ever seen her, how she is. She has no remorse of the things that she does, and that's who she is. Because, she's always on a mission. Her mission, as you know, is always the same. To confront Julia, even though they're in the same block. But Natsupoi, no matter how hard she's been tried, she tries to fight it off no matter what. But luckily, she was able to apply the fairy strain onto Zuzu to pick up her win. So I believe right now, Zuzu, in my opinion, has still winless with 3 losses. As for Natsupoi, I believe, let's see, where's her name at? Oh yeah, 3 wins and 3 losses, 6 points, not bad. So we'll see how far she'll go in this. Now, our final match for the Blue Star here, we have 2 members of God's Eye showing down right now. We have Ami Sodi and Mirai. Now, this is a very interesting development. Now, there are many units that are not afraid to fight each other. There are those like Otatai, they would cheat their way through to win, using cheat shots, tricks, whatever. But these God's Eye, much like DDM, are not afraid to go throw down against each other, no matter what. And I think that's what makes it great. But it was Ami Sodi who picked up the win with like a Thunderbolt giving her the win. And I think right now, I believe she has 4 wins and 1 loss with 8 points. As for Mirai, 3 wins and 3 losses, 6 points. So not bad for both of them. Not going to take that away from them. Now, our next match, we have Risa Serra versus Himeka. This was Another big challenge. Now, keep in mind, Risa Sera knows Himeka before when she was a freelancer in Ice Ribbon, but however, this was a bit more challenging for Himeka because she knows how good Risa Sera is. But this time, it went in her favor when she applied the running power bomb. 1, 2, 3, it was over. So Himeka, I believe, has 8 points with 4 wins and 2 losses. Risa Sera, I believe right now she is at 3 wins and 2 losses. So she's good for now. Next up, we have Maika versus Utami Hayashida. Now, these two ladies know each other pretty well. Keep in mind, when Utami Hayashida was still champion, Himeka has challenged her time and time again, but loses to her. But now this is not the time of the title. So basically, it's more like, can Maika beat Utami despite the fact that she doesn't have the title? And I think that tells us the story about on this one. But it was, of course, the Michinoku Driver 2 that finished off Utami Hayashida, giving Maika the win. So I believe Maika has 3 wins with 2 losses. And as for Utami, same thing, 3 wins and 2 losses. So 6 points each. So we'll see how far they go. Now, our main event, this is the match that everybody expected. We have Julia versus Starlight Kid in a Blue Star block. Julia immediately attacked Starlight Kid and immediately decided to rip off the mask. And of course, the referee was trying to tell her to get the stop and take it in the ring. But you know Julia, she has a bad attitude. She doesn't give a damn about what the ref says because she thinks she's politically correct. This is why I don't like Julia. Because everything that comes out of her mouth, she thinks it's all true, you know? But it's always been like that for her, all the time. But she continued to attack on the mask every single chance she get. But, however, basically, Julia was able to apply every aggressive way, headbutts, everything, even continue with the mask. But Starlight Kid lost to Julia with that move, I forgot what she called it, and giving her the win. So I believe right now Julia has 6 points with 3 wins and 2 losses. Kid, I believe 2 wins and 3 losses. But however, this is why I keep saying about Julia. She thinks that she is politically correct. She thinks that Starlight Kid is desiring to remove the mask. And she never even talked about, once in her life, talking about the mask. But I know many fans out there, since you guys know 100% about her and her relationship with Desperado. I'm not saying they're a couple. I'm saying their friendship. That Starlight Kid, one way or the other, has to confront Julia and do the one thing that Desperado, if you guys remember what Desperado did. If you guys haven't forgotten, Desperado took off his mask during his match with Hiromu, and we all were shocked what happened. And recently we just saw that with Mantequilla in House of Glory, until he put on his mask back. So we could see a somewhat similar situation in the near future. But Julia put out a promo saying that last year she had to be pulled away from the tournament because of an injury, and now she wants revenge to make up for what happened. Even though she did not have 2 good matches, her start of her 5-star did not do so well, she's willing to go the distance. And she said that she wants the one belt she wants, and that is the red belt. But here's the thing. She's right now has 6 points. Azuki has 14. The obvious question is, can she catch up? But we will see, because anything could change from here on out all the way to October 1st. Now, there are many fans right there. They're saying that maybe Azuki will be the one to win her block. And who knows about the red block. Right now in the lead, I mentioned Azumi. But we'll go from there and see what happens. So I believe right now, which ended here. Let's begin with Tuesday Wrestling with NWA Powerrr. Okay, NWA Powerrr. Now, as I mentioned the last time we had the catchweight exhibition match, this time we have Mecha Wolf versus Matt Taven. Now, I have to say this was a pretty good opener and a pretty interesting match because, as you know, these 2 gentlemen are from 2 different tag teams. We got Mecha Wolf, who is one half of the current NWA tag team champions, and Matt Taven, part of the OGK, who are also determined to obtain these titles. So I have to say this is a good way for them to hopefully we could see that match that we want to see, OGK versus La Rebellion. But it was pretty good. Now, you thought in your minds things would have gotten in the favor of Mecha Wolf, but no. Taven, as you know, he is a fantastic wrestler. Even when he's a singles competitor is what makes him great. So he was able to put him away by pinfall. 1, 2, 3. It's done. Now, Kyle Davis took the podium, had an interesting interview with a very familiar legend in the wrestling business and who's also a WWE Hall of Famer. We're talking about Ricky the Steamboat. Not Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, my bad. Now, according to what they're saying, he was the genius behind that he's going to do a tournament for the national championship to find a number one contender. However, he was about to call out someone that he is really good friends with, and that is Trevor Murdoch. However, Matt Cardona, who thinks that he should be on the title hunt. Now, Ricky did make some good points. You did not lose the title, you weren't pinned, you weren't submitted. But he was questioning, are you 100%? That is the obvious question that many of us see when it comes to injured wrestlers. We already seen that with CM Punk. But Cardona took offense to that. But he even talked trash about Trevor Murdoch, saying that he's going to take back the titles, all this. But luckily, Trevor Murdoch did hear everything because he explained this to May Valentine. But of course, he even talked about his match with Tyrus, how this one was one of the most hard-hitting matches he's ever been in. And there's more to come from what he is indicating. Now, back to Kyle Davis doing the podium. Aaron Stevens comes out. He's saying that he actually brought a brand new wrestler, and that is the question mark, but we all know who's behind the mask. That is Rodney Mack. It's very simple, but of course. So he was set to face against Devin Graves. I don't know. I don't know if it was what kind of angle they're trying to go with this, but I think the story is telling us that Aaron Stevens has lost his mind. So I think that's what many of us could agree upon. But however, it was the question mark, or as we call it, question Mac, according to what Joe Galley said, was Tim Storm. Don't remember, but I thought it was so interesting. But it's just so funny. But of course, like always, question Mac won. Now, what is the deal with EC3? Well, he set himself up in an interview with the lovely May Valentine. He is not there to invade NWA as people would assume. He's there to wake them up. All this, including one particular person, and that is, of course, none other than that he had in NWA 74. We're talking about Tom Latimer. So basically, that's what it is. However, Tom Latimer was in action, but his head was not in the right place. He was in the match against a guy named Chris Science, I think that's his name. But he was taking his frustrations out on him, pretending that he was EC3. Now, you probably say, oh, he probably beat him easily. No, he took his time with them, not to mention calling him EC3 the entire time. So it's needless to say that right now, EC3 got under his skin. Excuse me. But it's still unclear what else is taking place with EC3. What is his plans in NWA, or what is he going to plan to do with Tom Latimer? That's the thing that it's still unclear. Now, May Valentine conducts an interview with Aldis and Nick Aldis, and of course Flip Gordon, two gentlemen that had a really good match this past weekend at NWA 74. However, the one thing they can't agree upon was the fact that they were attacked by Odinson. Now, we don't know what Odinson was about. What is he trying to do? Now, Aldis does believe that maybe he was trying to put his name on the map by attacking Nick Aldis. It would make sense of that. So, I mean, of course, we would like to hear this from the horse's mouth, as we say, but we'll find out. Now, once again, May Valentine does another interview, but this time with Bully Ray. As you know, Bully Ray, he did stated that he wanted this match with a tables match with Knox after what he did to him at Always Ready. But this time he said this could be his last match in that we get to see. However, he did stated he's going to try to be at the NWA more like a some sort of a person that will be supporting both two of his students. We're talking about Kylan King and the current NWA Women's Champion Camille. So we'll see what else takes place. Now, our main event is a no disqualification match. This is a bit of a rematch for what happened at NWA 74. Matt Cardona facing Rolando Freeman. Now, he thinks that Rolando took advantage of him. And it's like, no. You picked this guy because he was a weak link. That's the whole point. Now, we all can say, you just picked this guy because he's short, he's skinnier, he's a bit weak. But now he decides to put himself in a no disqualification match in hopes he could beat him easily. Now, Rolando did not take any crap from him one way or the other. But of course, the only X factor here in this match is the fact, okay, both corners. Rolando has his brother, Russ Freeman, by his corner. And of course, Cardona has Mike Knox. And then, of course, the chaos between VSK when they both men collide. VSK comes out to help. And then, of course, behind him, we have Brady Pierce. But Rolando took out everyone. But, of course, at near the end, Cardona decided to give him a low blow, even though it was legal. And then he tried to take him out. But, you know what they're saying, be careful what you say because it's going to bite you in the ass. Trevor Murdoch got on top, gave him a bulldog, and then he grabbed Rolando and put him on top of him. 1, 2, 3, it's over. So basically, he is now 2 for 2 on Cardona. Now, we can see Cardona complain and bitch about this the following week, but we'll see what happens then because I know he's going to be complaining about it. So I think that's pretty much it with the NWA. Let's move on with AEW Dark. Okay, AEW Dark opened up with Serpentico along with Luther, who we haven't seen for quite some time. Takes on none other than Johnny Hungy, John Silver. Now, you can say this had a little bit of the comedy routine on this one, yes. But it was Johnny Hungy with the spin doctor that sealed the deal, put away Serpentico. 1, 2, 3. It's over. Now, our next match, we have none other than half of the Renegade twins, Charlotte Renegade, along with her sister Robin, to take on Diamante. Now, you ask yourselves, they're probably going to put the switcheroo. Well, it did not work in their favor because apparently, you know how Diamante is. She's a bit of aggressive. She doesn't take any crap from anybody. But she did put Charlotte in the code red. 1, 2, 3. Adios. Next match, we got Angelo Parker along with Matt Menard, Daddy Magic, whatever he calls himself, taking on Gus de la Vega. But you probably guessed this match ended in 17 seconds. That's how it is. However, this was a direct message to Hook. As you know, Hook defeated Zach Clayton really quick in his title match against him on a Rampage. However, once again, they're calling him out. Now, Taz, on the other hand, he does not understand why, since he's doing the commentary. He doesn't understand why are you doing this. You know, he's a bit surprised. He thought they were cool with him. But, however, Taz made believe that be careful what you wish for. You don't want to be around Hook. You see, here's the problem. They said in the interview that Hook, you may look tough, but you have the most ridiculous. That doesn't make you tough. However, it's more like these words are going to eat you alive, boys. You're saying that Hook is not taking them seriously. Come on. Hook, we know he doesn't care because he knows what he's going to do. His objective is to win. That's how it works. So we'll see when that day comes because I can't wait to see Taz laugh at them knowing, well, you should have kept your mouth shut. Next match, we have Kiera Hogan versus Milo pretty good, decent match until Kira Hogan applied the roundhouse kick to her. 1, 2, 3, it's done. Next up, we got the Trust Busters, Ari Daivari, Slim J, and Parker Boudreaux, taking on what's his name? Yeah. Logan Cruz, Tyshawn Perez, and Hermano. That's kind of weird for a luchador to have a name, Hermano. I don't know. Anyway, but you can say this favor falls into Trustbusters. Now, normally would assume Ari Daivari will be the one to pick up the win, but no, not this time. The big man himself, Parker Boudreaux, was the one who applied the win. Next up, we got Julia Hart versus Vicky Dreamboat. Now, you can say this particular house always wins thanks to Julia Hart's new way of putting everybody in her submission move, and that's how it ends with everyone. Next up, we got Kayla Rossi along with Diamond Sheik taking on Vipress. Now, Kayla, she's very impressive, but I was a bit more interested how she ended this match, because we have seen many people when they do a moonsault press, they normally kick out, but for her, they made it look like this was her finisher. Now, I don't know if that's an appropriate finisher, but we'll see where they go with it. You know what I mean? Next up, we got the Varsity Blondes, Pillman and Garrison, taking on Rosario Grillo and Dean Alexander. Now, we have noticed recently they have shown now in this particular match more of their aggressive side. I was like interested how this turned out, but they were able to pick up the victory. Now, what does this mean? Are they changing their attitude? Are they going to turn from baby faces to heel? That is still undetermined yet. We know they were frustrated because of that big loss they had, so we'll see what takes place later. Next up, we got Dante Martin versus Ari Fox, two high flyers. One who is like the rising star, one who's the legend. So that is like a very thing. Now, the last time I mentioned, Dante Martin did not use the nosedive on his opponent, but this time he had to apply that, which of course gave him the win. Next up, we got Brock Anderson versus Tyson Maddox. You know how this ends? Spine buster. It's over. Next up, we got the Workhorsemen, Anthony Henry and JD Drake, taking on Oliver Sawyer and Manny Lowe. But I have to say, the Workhorsemen are a unique combination of wrestlers. JD Drake did a moonsault right on top of the turnbuckle, and it was over right from there. The moment his opponent, that Manny Lowe, was pinned. However, they put in a post-match comment about, okay, JD Drake knows that he is good friends with Avalon, Benoni, and Meneth. However, he feels he's more connected with the Workhorsemen. So basically, but Anthony said, look, it's okay, bro. It's okay. Have fun with these guys. This is different away from that. So he's like telling him, look, it's okay to feel what you feel, but it's okay to keep things different away from them and me. And that's pretty much what he's saying. And I think we probably will enjoy that most. Our next match, we have Layla Gray versus Renee Michelle. Now, as you know, Layla has somehow been not being treated well by the baddies. They're treating her like she doesn't, how do I say, fit right in, even though Stokely Hathaway is paying her. That's the thing. But, of course, she's very impressive. But what happens in the future if she screws Jade over because she refused to accept her? That could be the possibility. But Layla Gray, I have to say, she really is showing a bit more who she is. And I think that's what we need to do, is see more of her in this. Now, our main event, we have Blake Christian versus Roosh. I have to say this one is a beat down by Roosh. But we know he complied the bull's horn on him, and it was over right there. Rush, we know he's tough. He's a mean old SOB, and that's what he is. So I think that's pretty much it with AEW Dark. So let's move on with our final review, NXT 2.0. Okay, NXT 2.0. This is the final one before we head to Worlds Collide. Now, I'm just gonna put this part right now in head. What I did like about this episode of NXT 2.0 is the fact is you got the current champions. You know, like for example, for the women's from both sides, NXT, and everybody had their own advice. Like for example, we had Mandy Rose who was confronted by Shayna Baszler saying, all this and that, but she did say something that I feel it's true. That basically she's been debatable about how no one's on her level. But if she loses, that everything that she talked about was all full of crap. And in a way, she's right. Basically, you're putting yourself in a three-way match. Which, okay, do you think you can pull it off? And then, of course, Meiko Satomura, the current NXT Women's Champion, NXT UK Women's Champion, said passed by again with Alba Fire. Now, Meiko Satomura is not afraid to admit that she was a great champion because she was, of course, dubbed as the Forever Champion. I think Alba really appreciated her because you got to remember there are certain wrestlers that kept their titles, what made them what they are. And then, of course, we cannot forget the challenger, Blair Davenport. She actually was given advice by Rhea Ripley. As you know, Rhea Ripley has dominated both the NXT and NXT UK, but she did see Blair Davenport. Okay, I can see you're confident, but don't screw it up. So basically, it's more like, okay, each of them are trying to realize, okay, what's at stake, and then you look at the side from both the NXT and NXT UK champions. We have, of course, when Tyler Bate, he received a video message from none other than his buddy, well, Pete Dunne, let's call him that. I don't like calling him Butch, to be honest with you. He was a good champion, as you guys recall, and I think that tells us all. And then he got another visit from the guy who had the longest reigning NXT UK championship reign, and that is Gunther, who we knew him as Walter. And he did the same thing. He's like, you have to do this not only for the NXT UK, but for NXT Europe. And I think that tells us there's a lot of lineage that this title is going to be in. And I think Tyler Bate knows what's at stake. Now, as for Braun Breaker, he had two champions that came and gave him advice. Finn Balor, who we all know has made that title what it is, he even told him, don't underestimate Tyler Bate. And it's true, because Finn Balor, many of his opponents that he faced in the past were bigger than him. They all underestimated him. So, Braun Breaker has to think the same way. Tyler Bate may be short, but don't underestimate his abilities. And I think that's a good advice. And as for Tommaso Ciampa, we all know his history. We know that he left a big legacy when he became the NXT champion. So he's saying that this is a privilege, and of course an honor of what you're representing. So I think that tells us, and I think everyone involved in those two big title matches are understanding. They have to understand this is bigger than just them. This is bigger than anything that they have ever been involved in. And I think that tells us a good story, because the unifications means one legacy. It's like you're fighting for a legacy that could be extinct or anything, or be forgotten. That's how I feel it tells us a story. Now, let's get into the whole event. Opened up with Grayson Waller versus Apollo Crews. As you know, Grayson Waller had his issues towards Apollo Crews, saying that he's here to take away people's spot. Now, Grayson Waller tries to act like he is the bigger star. I'm like, no, dude, you don't have that title. That doesn't make you the bigger star. But however, he used his finisher, but he somehow sneaked in to rake the eyes of Apollo Crews to win the match. So he thinks that he is now the real deal in this matter. Now, over time, we have seen what's been going on with the Creed brothers. As you know, they have their hard time trusting Roderick Strong. So they told him, they don't want him around their match that's taking place later on in the evening. So that kind of sits in. Now, our next match, we have Katana Chance and Kaden Carter taking on Ivy Nile, a title baseless, who could be in a title contingencies in the future. However, we did see the Toxic Attraction in the Toxic Lounge watching over. Now, there was some interesting moments in this match. It was really good. I mean, it was good, but not like great. It just tells us, okay, these ladies are being serious. However, the match got into a went to a turn where, of course, Toxic Attraction, Gigi Dolan, and Jay-Z are jealous. The fact is, you got this other tag team. They don't want no other tag team getting involved in this match. However, Ivy Nile was distracted because of this. And of course, Tatum Paxley will probably not take her, or will not be, mad about it, because we all know Toxic Attraction, ever since they lost these titles, they are determined to get them back, including when they tried to presume them back. However, Chance and Carter decided to say that they have no one from the NXT UK to challenge them. But however, what they got is former NXT UK and NXT wrestlers who are now currently in Raw. Doudrop and Nikki Ash put themselves in the map to challenge these two. So that's going to be interesting to watch. Now, as you know, we have a very interesting matchup. We have Fallon Henley, Brooks Jensen, Josh Briggs versus Lash Legend and Pretty Deadly. However, this entire feud between them, Pretty Deadly has been feeling like sick to their stomach, knowing that the NXT UK titles are in the hands of a bunch of hillbillies, as they like to call them, that don't earn the right to carry those titles. So, however, things would have gone their way if it wasn't for Gallus. It cost them the match, because they also felt the same way as Pretty Deadly. But the only problem is, Pretty Deadly say, we beat you for those titles, you don't have a right for them. So that kind of sets into everything. But apparently, the match got out of control. Everything went out of control as soon as the match was over. So we'll see what takes place. Now, JD McDonough, as you know, he brought in this new way of trying to prove that he is not like what he is. People were freaked out because he was upside down, but come on. That's JD McDonough, how he is. Now, I have to say this next match is one of my interesting ones I've ever enjoyed. Andre Chase, along with Chase U, taking on Charlie Dempsey. Now, I was impressed with the fact that Andre Chase was able to play Charlie Dempsey's game. Now, some people say it's impossible to play. Sometimes you need to understand the wrestling style that it is. Charlie Dempsey is part of that Thatch camp. The grappling, the submission. And I think that's what Andre Chase applied. But somehow he was able to pull up a really good victory, thanks to a bit of the help of encouragement by Bodie Haywood. But don't ever mess with his students. That's the last thing you want. Charlie Dempsey was beside himself losing in that fashion. Now, our next match. Once again, Kiana James thinks that her genius is far more better than everyone. She applied about Zoe Starks that she was a fool to put herself in a position to go after the NXT Women's Championship. So she thinks that she has the upper hand. However, in the match with Zoe Starks, well, she proved her wrong. She's like saying, my ass. So it was telling her, well, all that garbage you talking about is full of it. So it did. However, like she did to Nikita Lyons, whacking her with her purse in the back, well, it backfired with the return of Nikita Lyons. And of course, this is the last thing that Kiana James needed, is two people that she feels that their abilities are full of crap. Now it is like the numbers game. Even though I saw an exclusive clip on IG where Zoe Starks and Nikita Lyons says, "You're really gonna go there? Don't ever try that crap with us." So I think that kind of tells us they're gonna be watching her, what she's gonna do. Now, interesting matchup that's gonna probably that it was very interesting is Nathan Frazier, feeling that he's not going to be in Worlds Collide, meets Axiom, and he tells him that this unique thing with the Heritage Cup, he said the rules are very crazy, and then of course Axiom's like, said, how about best out of 3? And they shook on it, and I have to say this is going to be really interesting. Now, our next match, we have Gallus versus Diamond Mine. This is once again another feud. Gallus, who are trying to prove they are the best, dominant, expanding their kingdom to NXT. Now, we all know that Diamond Mine are going to unify the tag team titles against Brooks Jensen. But however, once again, Roderick Strong shows up, costing Diamond Mine the match. But it went all chaotic. All 4 tag teams show up, and later was announced we're going to have the unification match in a 4-way. So we have Gallus involved, we have Pretty Deadly, Jensen and Briggs, and Diamond and the Creed brothers. Whoever wins will be the NXT unification unification tag team. So basically, anything could happen in this particular match. Now we do get a little interesting video package coming from Quincy Elliott, who is now declaring himself as the Super Diva. I have to say Quincy is a unique wrestler. That's what I like about wrestlers that I've seen. They're unique. I talked about that with Orange Cassidy, Danhausen, and a few others. So Quincy Elliott is no different. He is part of that category, in my opinion. So now, before the end of the night, we have Carmelo Hayes, who's pissed off, knowing that he's not involved in Worlds Collide, but he now decides, I'm not going to be defending it. But out of nowhere, a former NXT alumni and current SmackDown superstar, Ricochet, shows up, and all this and that. Carmelo Hayes, he thinks that he is the true A champion, and all this, that. But Ricochet's like saying, you're all talk, but can you walk the walk? I think that's the case, but he took out both Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes. So he's going to challenge him for the North American title. So basically, if I was Carmelo Hayes, I would have kept my mouth shut, because you don't want to mess with a guy who is unique in every way. So I think this show really tells us, okay, this is the last time we're going to see how this is going to turn out before we get to Worlds Collide this weekend. I'm kind of curious about it. So I think that's pretty much it. Let's move on with our last thing we're going to do, news updates. Okay, for our news updates, now we all saw the return of Johnny Gargano last week on SmackDown, or last week. We saw what an incredible pop he had. However, Vince Russo decided to slam him, saying that WWE has failed to introduce Johnny Gargano. Now, I did not know much about Johnny Gargano when he was before I started watching NXT. I'm willing to admit that. But before joining WWE, I didn't know anything about him until hearing all this stuff about him and this and that. I asked myself this obvious question: what the fuck is this guy talking about? So, do you guys think Vince Russo is full of it? You guys tell me, because I feel he is. He thinks that everybody doesn't know who Johnny Gargano is. And not to mention, the one thing that really, really struck a nerve is he calls him, he shows up with a shirt and cut. He looks more like a loser. I'm like, oh my God, this guy is really going to get himself buried alive for this. But tell me, guys, do you think Vince Russo is full of it? You tell me. Now, next update. Impact Wrestling announced that Joe Dorian will be stepping away from the ring for quite some time due to health concerns. This has been mentioned before he ever came to Impact Wrestling. I did read about somewhere he had a brain tumor or something like that. I'm not sure if that's related to the health issues he's having now. But If it is, let's give him our prayers, you know, that hopefully he recovers from whatever it goes on. I'm not sure what it is, but I hope it's not the brain tumor. That's the last thing anybody wants. Now, if you guys ever heard of this thing called the Independent Wrestling Television, is more of an app where they have like many of the wrestling shows, kind of like GCW used to do shows on their network in the past, their streaming service. We have Big Japan Pro Wrestling and a few others. And as you guys know or not, Independent Wrestling Television has their own heavyweight type, their own title, where it's defended in all of those brands of the shows that they have. However, they just announced for tag teams in this one. Now, this is another interesting thing what they're going to do. I did not anticipate that at all, but it's going to be interesting. Now, Fightful Select has reported that the USA Network are extremely happy with WWE, with the changes it takes place. I mean, look, I remember when Vince was still running things, USA Network were frustrated because they were demanding, we want fresher talent. Did Vince listen? No, he did not. But now under Triple H, he delivered. That's exactly what they wanted. Okay? I don't understand, why is Vince pissing off the network, making them look bad, but now Triple H is like, I'm going to deliver what he failed. That's exactly. And I think that's a great thing. Now with these changes, the network should be happy how things are turning around. Now, this interesting tweet I've actually come across, I was a bit surprised. New Japan star Hiromu Takahashi says that he would like to wrestle other juniors, and he actually has his sights set at DDT. I was like, whoa, that's interesting. But president and founder of DDT, Shinjiro Takagi, said, I welcome it. I mean, if you guys know this or not, Dick Togo just recently made his appearance at DDT, teaming up with his protege, Daisuke Sasaki, against Konosuke Takeshita. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see wrestlers from New Japan making their way. I know that soon, later on next month, for the Jun Akiyama 30th anniversary, Yuji Nagata will be there, and so is Kanemaru. Now, our next update, we have, of course, GLEAT. A match has been announced that I did not anticipate. We're going to have Shima taking on Michiko Miyagi. Now, this is the first ever intergender match that we see in GLEAT. Now, we have seen intergender matches in other promotions, but here, no, I've never seen it. However, the rules have been kind of changed. Shima will only get a 3 count, while Michiko gets 2. I don't know what's the significance of it. It's still unclear to me. Hopefully someone can explain that to me when I learn more about this as we go. Now, for a final update, this is something interesting that was reported by Wrestle Talk. If you guys saw what happened this past Monday on Raw, we saw Dana Brooke looking over when they crowned a brand new WWE Women's Champion. Did you guys see what she did not have with her? If you cannot guess, I'll tell you. The 24/7 title. Where is it? According to them, there is the possibility that there is a chance that that title will be deactivated. Now, don't get me wrong. It was a very interesting run with this title, but it was nothing compared to the hardcore title we've been back from the Attitude Era. I mean, who doesn't love that? We've seen various 24/7 titles in the past, but the hardcore title was like the beginning of that. I mean, DDT has the Iron Man title. I forgot who else is what other titles that were involved with 24/7. That's the thing, and I think maybe this is a good thing, because the only reason this title was created was to keep the other wrestlers who are not being utilized busy, and I think that was really ridiculous. But I think right now, that title being deactivated may be a good thing. But you guys tell me what you think, if you guys think they're making the right choice in deactivating it. So we'll see what happens then. So I think that's pretty much it. So let's call it a day. Okay, Hope everybody enjoys this episode. Thank God I did Stardom stuff and Oz Academy. If you guys love the Yoshi stuff, you should know I'll be doing more of that soon enough, because the next episode, it will feature a 2-day event from another Yoshi promotion. You guys know of it, Pro Wrestling Wave. One of these days featured Hikaru Shida versus Suzuki. Now I already seen the match, but I'll just review it reviewed anyway, because why not? I think this one, I believe it's called, let me look it up. It's called the 15th Anniversary Carnival Wave. This took place on August 13th and the 14th. If the other Stardom show that day 10 for the 5-star Grand Prix takes place, I will review that if it is. If not, then I'll put something else. But of course, we cannot forget it's Wednesday. It's going to be AEW Dynamite. I can't wait to see this, because we do continue more with the trios tournament, which we're going to see the Elite versus the United Empire, and I know many fans are going to be talking about that. So if there's any other news updates, I will talk about those two as well. So right now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.